Welcome to the Profitable Practitioner Podcast. This is a podcast for unlicensed practitioners and coaches as they navigate their way through the journey of entrepreneurship. Here, we will be having conversations with real practitioners about their businesses, gathering marketing and business tips from other online experts, and ultimately creating a community for support and growth. My goal is to give you the knowledge, tools, and support you need to build, scale, and sell your services so you can truly create the business of your dreams. All right, guys. Today I am here with Laura Ordile. Laura is an intuitive, an astrologer, and all the amazing things. And I'm really excited to dive into this conversation with you today, Laura.
Thanks so much
So,
for having me. I'm
of
excited.
course. Oh, no, sorry. I kind of paused there for a minute, but I would love if you could just share with me and the audience your backstory. How did you get to where you are today?
That's a long story, but
It's a big question, yeah.
um, I'll give you the
Oh,
short version. So I have all my life, dug into the magic and the fun and all of those things, in and out of it, in and out of it. And several years ago, I sat down with a book at one point on the intuitive side of things, and I said, "All right, I'm going to learn about this intuition thing." And it was a guide basically that had all of these exercises in it, and I started doing them, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this stuff really works." And so I kind of dove into that, and then I started adding things like they say about potato chips or tattoos. You can't just have one. You start going into different things, and I'd always loved astrology, but I thought it would be a little too overwhelming to dig into astrology. However, the right teacher came along at the right time and really allowed me to take it in piece by piece. And I was just amazed and shocked at that too, about how accurate it is, how amazing it is, how cool it is. And through that, it led me to all the different things that I work with cards, Oracle and tarot cards. And at one point I decided, this is probably going to make people laugh, but I decided I needed something a little more practical to add in. And so I came to be led to hypnosis as my practical side. And so I stepped into learning about hypnosis, neuro-linguistic programming, life coaching, all of that. And so I kind of dug into that. And as so often happens, so many things kind of come together and work together in such wonderful ways that I found that it was really cool how a lot of it just meshed. And one of the things I did that I really loved, that I find works so great with the subconscious work that I do with the NLP and the hypnosis, is I became a certified color coach. And through that, I learned that it was based a lot on energy work, on bringing in the energy of a color. But I've also really connected it to working with the subconscious and using the color as an anchor to make the changes that you want in your life, to bring the things in that you really want to amplify or clarify or bring about. And so it's right at a year now. Actually, might be this week. How funny is that? I didn't even do that until I didn't recognize that until just now. This week, last year, I left my corporate job of almost 23 years and decided to go full time with this and with some family time. And I've been just loving exploring the adventure of all of it. So that's my story.
Wow, that's so neat. I'm so happy for you. That's such a big accomplishment, that year marker of being like, I took this leap and now I get to look back on all the great things that I've been able to do. So that's really exciting.
It is, and it was really scary at the time. And you
Yeah.
all the panic and all the fear and all the things, and what if I end up a bag lady? And your mind is so creative and takes you to all these incredible places. And that's one of the reasons I learned to work with the subconscious too, is to reel that stuff in and learn to take it on a path of more the joyful side. What if it all works out? What if it's all
Yeah.
great?
I've been that's been one of my battles too. Ever since I took my business like full time, because for the longest time I just would like waitress 2 days a week. And it wasn't even that I necessarily needed it, but it was that it was safe. And when I finally was like, okay, like I don't have time for this. Like I really need to put my full attention on my business. Still to this day, my brain will like wander to that place of like, what if next month I don't have any work? But then every time that happens and I choose to take a step back and just trust the process, literally like a couple hours later, I'll get like 5 different emails from people like, I need you to do all of these things. And I'm like, okay, this is why I'm doing this, you know?
Not fun how that happens. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it's just trusting the process, really.
it is. And just choosing to be okay, in the
Mhm.
moment, and know that, you know what, actually, I'm okay. I'm not the bag lady. I'm not in the fear place. And you know what? If I had to make a change, I would still be okay and I would take
Yeah.
that step. But for now, where I am is okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, what is the worst possible situation? Like, maybe you do become the bag lady, but like, you still have life pretty good, you know?
I'll have a heck
um,
of a bag if I have a bag lady. So there you go. There you go.
exactly. So what does your business kind of look like right now? Who do you work with, and what are you helping them with like the color and astrology and all of that kind of stuff?
My business is really takes on people who are in that change process where they just know things have to be different now. That it's like, okay, this life is not fitting me. I know that I need to move forward, do something. And oftentimes they're doing all the things, but they're not making the progress. They're not getting where they need to go. And a lot of times that's because of the subconscious, that
Mm.
subconscious, which is a wonderful thing that we have, and it always tries to keep us safe and happy. And it oftentimes does it in a way that doesn't grow with us. We have programming that's in there from about the time we're, anywhere from 1 to 7, from born to 7 years old, that is about during that time, we're kind of almost always in a process of learning and programming and anchoring in those things. And we carry that with us throughout our life. So if you don't go in and make the changes along the way, you might have some things that you just heard your parents talking about, but your subconscious chose to hold on to that. And that's what you're operating off of. And the 7-year-old self isn't going to really benefit the version of you that is here now. And so going into the subconscious is the quickest, easiest, and most complete way to clear the blocks, to open things up, to change the process going forward. And that's what I help people do. And I love when I start to work with someone, one of the first things that I do is actually do an astrology reading for them. It's really deep. It goes in, it takes about an hour and a half to have the conversation with them over all of the information, because I really want them to see who they are and the things that are crazy amazing about them, and also the things that, gosh, you probably struggle with this, don't you? But here is how to make that better. Here's how to blend that into work for you instead of feel like it's holding you back. And I think that's a really important thing that people appreciate and need to know, because sometimes we are in the world and we hear all our lives something that you're too much, or you're too quiet, or you're this or you're that, and it becomes a part of us that says, oh yeah, I'm that, and that's not good. Instead, going, you know what, you are that way because this is how you came into the world, and here's how you work with it to really show people how amazing it is. People Scorpios get a bad rap a lot of times because they say, oh, they're so intense and they're so this and they're so that. But the thing that is crazy amazing and beautiful about Scorpios and water signs in general is that they have this vision and this ability to see things that other people don't see. They go deep into the human experience and they can see it so clearly, where the rest of us are looking at it and it's like, I'm a little scared. It's kind of murky. It's
Mhm.
like one of those underwater scenes that you might have seen a picture of, where everything's really clear underneath the water line and up above. That's what the water signs can see, especially Scorpio. And so when they see that, and then people say, oh, they're so intense. It's like, yeah, they're intense because they see it all and it's so amazing. But ask them to share that with you and they will. And then you get a different viewpoint going forward. How incredible is that?
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed that my husband is a Taurus sun and a Scorpio moon, and he gets we see the world in completely different ways, but I always find it really interesting to see. He likes to sometimes do like little poems or something like that in his journal, and like probably I should not invade his privacy, but sometimes I'll read them and I'm like, wow, these are like so deep and dark, but like really beautiful, you know? It's
And
just
that's
like this different
exactly,
way.
yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly it right there. And
Mhm.
the rest of us are going, holy crap, that's kind of a lot. That's
Yeah.
intense. And but they look at death and life and sex and all of the interesting things that life has. And they're like really curious about it. And they will have these viewpoints on it that are just fascinating if you take the
Yeah.
time to just listen and not judge. They
Mhm.
really have the fear of kind of being judged because they get judged a lot about
Yeah.
those things. But if you look at it as, oh yeah, that is a part of life. And wow, you're seeing something really interesting. Then they'll be like, oh yeah. And they'll start talking to you and they'll share with you. And it's a whole different side of Scorpio.
Yeah. And I always think it's funny too because like beyond just the poems, it's like when so have always wanted to be an entrepreneur. That's like I've been a serial entrepreneur, and ever since I was even little, like I remember playing with like my cousins and stuff, and like I was always like the one in charge of the money, coming up with all the ideas for the businesses we were building. And my husband is completely different. Like he is now getting into the idea that he wants to start his own construction business, but for the longest time, like he just wanted to work for someone else. And when me and him talk about business, it's like such funny outlooks because like I'm just all optimistic and like so excited to build all these things and like all these people I'm going to inspire and like all the money I'm going to make. And he's like, okay, well, he gets very analytical. Well, like, how are you going to make this work with this? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't even think about that. Like, I don't need to think about that right now. Like, I'll do it when it comes, but like, let's just do it, you know? And I think that it's beautiful when you can use tools like astrology to understand people different because like I'm the kind of person who like always sees the glass half full and is like something bad happened, okay, I'm just going to look at the good side. And I think because of maybe just the way I am and like also my religious upbringing, like it was kind of ingrained in you that that's the way you should be. So I always kind of was like, had this holier than thou kind of thing going on. Like, I see the glass half full. So then that makes me a better person than you because you're not seeing it that way. But actually taking the time to recognize, okay, first of all, it's not always good to see the glass half full. Sometimes you need to be angry at life and like just realize that like things are bad and that's okay. And recognizing that, there's just different ways of approaching everything and seeing like my Aries like wanting to take over the world has its good and its bad, but also the Scorpio seeing like the negatives and the downside to things like that has good and bad as well. So that's one of the things I really love about it. And I'm sure you've seen that time and time again. It's just like we all have such different values to bring to the table.
We do, and it's a wonderful mix, because everyone shows everyone else, here's what's possible, here's what can be. And the funny thing is, often people will say, oh, here's my sun sign. And the sun sign is a base layer, but
Yeah.
all these other things come on and come into it. If you look at the moon, that's the heart. That's the way someone's going to react emotionally to situations, whether they're a water sign who is going to try and take care of everything and really kind of have that emotional set, or the fire sign that's going to be like in there and dramatic and let's get it done. And here we got to do this, before anything else, or the air sign who wants to talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's have conversation. Let's see what needs to be done, or the earth sign who's going to say, let's be practical. We have to be practical before anything else. so that's the heart that comes through. Saturn, which is life purpose, life lessons, is a huge one. That's one of the first ones I go to when I do reading for people, because it's so important. And it literally will, it will show you right away how accurate astrology is. Because if I can go to a year for you, if I have your birth date, I can go, if you look at, depending on how old you are, if you're at least 30 years old, I can say, here's the year when there was a huge change in your life. Something changed. And that is because you have a Saturn return. And when that Saturn return comes in, life has big changes that come in. And that happened. I don't know that I've ever had anyone that didn't say, oh yeah, I had a baby that year. My life blew up that year. I got married. Oh yeah, everything had to change that year because something, every time I do reading that comes in. And that just shows me it's exactly right.
Yeah.
Astrology really is an interesting science in itself. So
That was one thing, and I'll probably like butcher this when I say it, so maybe you can correct me, but one of the most powerful things for me in astrology was kind of this reassurance, like, oh, I'm on the right path, because so I'm 28 right now. I'm just about to go into my Saturn return. But like my 10th house is where my midheaven is, and that's also where like Saturn is. And it's also where Aquarius and Venus are. And I was like doing this research about it because I felt like for the longest time I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, really. Like I was waitressing for a long time, and then I became a nutritionist, and I was a nutritionist for a long time. I loved that, but then it got to this point where I was like, yeah, this isn't actually like what I want to do. And then I kind of just took this leap of faith and started doing, like, I went into this ad mentorship and started writing ads, and then pretty much just helping practitioners with their websites and like all of this stuff. And then I was like, wow, this is like coming easy. Like I really feel like when you find what you're supposed to do, it comes easy. You got to put the work in, obviously, but it just felt so much more in alignment. And then I was looking into it with like the Aquarius and the Venus, and it's like technology and making things look beautiful. And
yeah,
I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like if this wasn't a sign that like I'm on the right path, I don't know what is.
yeah, that's so cool. And
Right.
so your Saturn is in what sign?
I think it's in the, okay, I have this all in my notes. So in my 10th house, I have my midheaven, Aquarius, Venus, and Saturn.
But so is it at Aquarius? It's in Aquarius?
Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm so bad at this. This is why you're the astrologer and I am not.
Oh, are you on like astro.com? Is that where you look at your chart, or do you have a picture of it from
Um,
Astro?
I have like, you'll see like all my notes, and I've like written down
Oh,
everything I've like learned online, and it's like in each
well,
house I've like written down. So
yeah.
yeah, it's probably, some of it might be wrong. I don't know, but
No,
um
it's all right. I was just gonna say, if your Saturn is in Aquarius, then it is absolutely, that you're meant to be doing those things. And those lessons are gonna be around some of that, but it's also around, kind of being a part of the community, being a part of the world, uh, um, always being interested in networking and kind of having that connection with a lot of people. I would say probably not a lot of close people, that would
mhm.
be a small circle, but a lot of very different kind of people that you have connections with. And to be almost the spoke in the wheel for all of those connections is where a lot of
Yeah.
Aquarius will connect with that. And to as they say, fly your freak flag, because Aquarians love to dig into all of the interesting things like astrology, like,
Mhm.
and they'll go into quantum jumping and quantum physics. It will both be interesting to
Yeah.
the The science side and the woo side is all fascinating to bring it into play, and they share that with the world and with the people that are out there, and it's really a little bit of their genius side that's there. So
Yeah, that's so fun because that's, on top of like everything I'm doing with the technology, that's also really the goal of this podcast is I also have a Facebook community that goes along with it. And I really just want to create that community for practitioners to be able to have collaboration, to be able to find people like you to work with, to be able to work with each other, because I feel like in the health and wellness industry, there's so much, there is a lot of competition, but rather than seeing each other as competition, I think we need to see each other as people who can help lift each other up. So yeah, that is also right on track with what I'm doing. So that makes me feel really good.
So
But
if you're on track, the great thing is if you're on track and you're doing those things that you agreed to do and that you're meant to do, and working within that Aquarian side in Saturn, that usually means that things are going to go fairly smoothly along the way. You'll see big changes, but
Mhm.
it'll be in a way that kind of progresses you where you want to go without it really kind of caving in your life. A lot of people who go through those things, they have to come to a discovery, and they have to kind of get their life back in the direction that they agreed to do and that they agreed to kind of move in through. And so if you're doing that already, I would say that it's going to be a pretty fun Saturn return.
That's what I've been hoping, so I'm glad to hear that reassurance. I'm like, I feel like I already had this, like, really profound moment of, like, devastation in my career when I was like, "I don't wanna be a nutritionist," but I've put so much time and energy, like, 6 years into just, like, working with people and learning and thousands of dollars into education, and that, like, was really devastating. But then now seeing it all come together where I'm like, well, okay, I needed the nutrition side so that I can do what I'm doing now with helping practitioners, because that makes my voice very unique. Because I'm able to resonate, I can speak their language, but also do it in this other way. So I think everything
Exactly.
happens for a reason.
Yay.
I wanted to ask you, this isn't exactly what we were talking about for like the outline, but that's okay. I'm just gonna go with what is feeling good. So when you're looking at someone's birth chart and it's kind of, if you're doing it for someone's career or business, like what they're supposed to do in the world, what houses would you look at? Would you mainly look at like, because I know the 10th house is generally one of them, but I don't know. Maybe you have a different take, or you could add some more insight there.
Well, I think, gosh, that's a hard one because I really look at it overall and see what's going on with them um, in their birth chart, and then also kind of currently where the transits are, where the planets are right now, and what's influencing the situation.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that makes a difference in where to kind of put your energy and what to do. Because if I'm thinking right, I got to make sure I've got my brain on right. Like Neptune has been moving through Pisces for a good while, and so
Okay.
with that influence, I've encouraged people a lot, regardless if you're in your work or in your personal life, if you are interested at all in any of like the woo world, the astrology, the cards, all the different things. It's like the veil is kind of wide open right now, and we have such a big access to it that it's all about kind of just tapping on something. And it's almost like you when you do that, you put it like in your library so that you have access to it later. So let's say, oh gosh, I would like to learn more about oracle cards. You go and you follow someone, you get a book about it, you find a course about it, something like that, that says you're putting a little bit of interest into it. You tap on it. And so it puts it in your library. And from that point forward in your life, you're going to have easy access to learning in that. It's going to be something that comes easy for you if you find that later on you really are more interested in it and you want to dig into it. And so I encourage everyone right now, tap onto as much information as you can in whatever area that you find interest. Animal communication, great. Quantum jumping, absolutely. Color certification, bring that in. Whatever it is, the chakras, anything like that, bring that in, because as Neptune starts to move out of Pisces, it's like that veil comes together again. And it's not that people will not have access to stuff later on. Absolutely they will. But it's through that veil. So it's not as clear. It's not as direct. It's not like that download that you'll get from it otherwise. It's almost like you have a little foot in the door. So you have it open a little bit and a continuous direct connection to that universal energy, that other side of things. And so that's a current thing that's going on. So that's something I tell everyone to tap into, but it might be that with you, not you personally, but if, say your, let's say that I'm going to say your moon sits in your 10th house. That means that you're going to have an emotional connection to the work that you do, because 10th house is your career, is the things that are going on. And maybe that's in Capricorn, which is going to be an interesting connection there. Capricorn is a very grounded, very driven sign. They're all about being leadership. They're also all about being right all the time. They like to be right. They want to be right. They're going to tell you about it, and they're going to tell you how to do whatever it is that you should be doing. And but they do have a natural leadership ability that comes in. They'll come in and do those things. So if it's sitting there and it's your heart, that means that at that emotional level, it's important to you to feel good about yourself and to feel good in the connections emotionally that you have, including in your career. It's important for that to be something that really kind of feels grounded, that feels the connection, but that is also practical, that it's useful in the way of doing things, because earth signs have that natural connection to the practicality of things. Does that make sense, what I kind of just said?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
And so, and if you have a particular planet that sits in that house, it's going to influence over all the things that you do. So if you have something that sits in the 4th house, I actually have a lot of planets that sit in the 4th house. It's going to influence my connection with family. So if I have, say, Mercury that sits in the 4th house, I'm going to want to communicate pretty regularly with my family. Communication with my family is going to be an important process for my mind. And then the other influences of what sign is that in, actually? What sign is Mercury in? Well, let's say it's in a fire sign. My communication might be really direct, really blunt, really intense, and I have to be aware of that with my family. My family's probably going to be pretty aware of that, because that's who I am, but those types of things are the mix of who we become and how we move in the world. And there's certain influences that we have for a long period in our life. Pluto, having moved through something for 30 years has been a big influence, and it's shifting. And so for a lot of people for the last 30 years, it's been about push, get it done, because it's been in Capricorn. Get stuff done, move through what needs to be done, move in a way that actually accomplishes something. And you feel that's an energy that is like pervasive in your life. And so it's moving into Aquarius now, and everybody's going to go, oh my goodness, I can breathe again. It's going to be a little bit of fun. We get to have some conversation. Let's let go a little bit, so that's the difference in how it influences. And now it's going to influence for the next 30 years a lot of people. and how we move in our work and how we move in our life and how we move in our relationships. So it's really personal in looking at all the different mixes.
Yeah.
And it's
It's
all the
like so
different
weird.
mixes. Yeah, it's, it's like kind of baking a cake. You look at this and you look at this and you look at this, and it's like, okay, we're baking a chocolate cake, but here's all the things that are going into it that are going to add all the different flavors to who you are and how you present in the world. And so it's super fun, I think, and
Yeah.
useful. Because who doesn't want to
Yes.
know that they're okay? Oh my gosh, this is how I'm supposed to be. Wow, that's incredible. And one of the most important things for everyone too is that we do need to bring balance in our life with the elements. There's 4 elements in our chart, and there's actually, if you go to astro.com and you put all the information in, you bring your chart up, there's a little section in there that shows the balance of your elements. You can also do it by looking at your planets and just counting. This one's in a fire sign, this one's in a earth sign, and it shows you all of that. But the elements we work in every day, and that's where I encourage people to bring balance, because it's like driving a car down the road. If you have a lot in one area, the tires kind of pumped up, and it's a little bit of a bumpy road. If you have nothing in one, and there's a little bit more to the story on that, but if you're really low on one, you got a flat tire and you're gonna not really get anywhere. So it's important to us to actually bring those in with air, bring in communication, bring in journaling, bring in some form of ideas that you're playing with. Air people are all up in their head, all the ideas, all the things, all the information flowing everywhere, but they have to communicate about it. And you also have to have the grounding, in our life. We have to connect with our earth in some way. And that's also our manifestation is in earth. It's going to bring that in. And that's important for us to connect to. And the practicality and money. My goodness, people say money like it's a bad word. It's an awesome, amazing thing, and it's a part of our life. And the fire is movement. We need to be moving in the world. We need to be doing. And our water, the emotions of things that we feel, that we experience, that we live in. And you don't have to get stuck or be sitting in a particular emotion every day. We just have to acknowledge it. You have to say, okay, I'm feeling annoyed, and not push it away. Just let it flow through you. Go through. And when you do that acknowledgement, it allows it to process and move through your body. And then you're bringing that balance in that we need to move through the day.
Yeah.
So.
I love that. So like for me, example, I really don't have like any earth in my chart. So would in that kind of circumstance, is that something where you would want to lean in harder to earth elements? Like, would I want to do more grounding, more earthing, or is that something where that wouldn't resonate with me as much because I don't have as much earth in my chart?
So there's 2 ways that can be. There's 2 interesting things in a chart always that I definitely like to notice. One is if there are no planets in a particular element, and that can mean one of 2 things. Either you came into this world having aced it. You don't need any more help, influence, anything like that. You've got that one down. You're not going to have a problem with it. Or you came in going, wow, I really need to work on this one. I'm going to have to earn this. And I think oftentimes I see that as you grow through life, if someone comes in with a 0 amount of it, you'll have sometimes a little bit of a roller coaster where they really are showing it off a lot, or they're really not. They're really just kind of, I'm going to take a fire sign. I don't have any fire in my chart. Or I'll say earth because it's you. So if you come in with no earth, right, you are either going to be the person who is all over the place, who's absolutely not grounded, who's not good with money, who can't manage it, who can't do anything, who is going to be the flighty one that has no practicality at all. Or that's going to be super easy for you. Connecting to money, connecting to being grounded, connecting to the practical side of things. Oftentimes it's, again, that little bit of a slope where you come in with one and maybe you build into realizing you are good with money, you are good with manifesting, you are good with being in that practical energy. Or you go through spurts in your life where you can see, oh yeah, I guess I kind of stepped away from the energy there because that was a little bit wild, a little bit scattered for those couple of years. And
Yeah.
so you can lean into any side of anything in your chart for sure. That's often what happens with people in Saturn or in some part of their thing. If it's really not, they're saying, oh, I don't really connect to that. You know, I'm a Pisces, but I'm not mystical, magical, or I'm not emotional. It's because they've somehow chosen to move away from it. They're not tapping into what that natural ability is that's there. And I would bet money that there's a struggle there, that there's some, you know,
Mhm.
it's, oh, they kind of lean into it and then they're like, oh no, 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 no. And they're drawn into it, you know, so they fight against it instead of just leaning into it. And when you have that conversation with people and you say, lean into this a little bit, let that open up and blossom in you, then it's like, oh, wow, okay. And it feels so good for them to just let the wall down and let them
Mhm.
move. And the other interesting thing in a chart that I love is if any planet is at 0 degrees between one sign and another, it's going to be 0.2 or 0. You know, whatever, it has a little fraction. But that is the only time that there is a true quote unquote cusp. Most people will say, oh, I'm on the cusp of this or I'm on the cusp of that. So I have these influences. Actually, not really. But at 0 degrees, it's almost like you're moving from one room to another and the door is still a little bit open. So there
Mhm.
is flow of the energy still there, hasn't quite closed. And so there's a cusp. You're going to have a little bit of influences on both sides. And that's super fascinating when that happens too, because some people will go, gosh, yeah, I guess I do see where I've really into that, or I do see that. And they can't decide sometimes who they really feel like they've which energy they've really taken on. But those are the two
Yeah.
things. So with the energy there, if you don't have a lot of earth, it may just simply mean, or no earth. Do you know if you have no earth in your chart?
I think I might have like maybe like
One planet,
one
maybe.
planet, yeah.
And so,
Um, I know that I was thinking maybe it was because I definitely feel like I'm a very grounded person. Like when I found out that I didn't have really any earth in my chart, I was like, oh, that seems really weird because I definitely feel more like a earth sign than a fire sign. And I think it's really easy for me to like fall into that. And also my south node was in Taurus. So I'm like, maybe that is what it is. Like that is like easy for me because I've already been there, done that kind of thing. But
right.
yeah, but like I kind of feel in this weird way, it's almost a kind of a cop out for me to like lean into that earth sign because it feels so easy and I kind of get like relaxed and actually tapping more into the fire, like my fire side of things is a little more difficult for me. When I am able to get there, it feels really good and like I'm like I can take on the world, but it is harder and it's a lot easier for me to fall back into like just I mean, I need that grounding in my life, but it's not good if I just fall too much into it, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, because it leads into being a little bit lazy. You know, the earth
Yeah.
signs that don't move and do the things, they like to lounge. They're the lounge lizards and oh, just let's kick back and cozy up at home and feel good. And that's like a dream for Taurus. Oh my goodness, they will just, let's get the lushness and have the perfect chocolate and have all those things to that just feel good.
Yeah.
That's great place for them. But
I
even
I
something you
feel
said,
like when it happened, oh, sorry, sorry.
no, it's
You go
okay.
ahead.
Something you said earlier, though, I think you probably dip into your fire a little bit more than you realized, because when you were talking about some of the differences between you and your husband, you said, I'm just like, let's do it. Let's jump in. And that's very much a fire thing. Let's do it. And
Yeah.
especially Aries, they've got their chest down. It's the ram. They're going to just go forward. Let's just go forward. And so even
Mhm.
if it's not in a necessarily big, bold way, pushing forward, doing the thing, taking the action, that's very
Oh
Aries.
yeah. Yeah, no, I have I have a lot of that in me. I think more so I don't know if it was like a stage in my life I was going through or what it was, but I felt like maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, that kind of time frame, I really was like in this earth energy almost. Like I was like taking on something that wasn't mine. And I felt what it contributed to was me not having as much of a voice as I would like to, and also maybe even a bit of like lowered confidence. And when I actually take the time to like get into that fire energy, I feel like my confidence goes up. I believe in myself more and I'm able to do the things that I really want to do.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what fire signs show the rest of us. Fire, it's almost like they leave this trail of fire behind them so that other people can kind of light their torches off of it because they see what's possible. The fire sign moving forward, the fire sign standing for self or others, the fire sign speaking up, the fire sign saying what needs to be said. And being bold and fun and depending on the fire sign, but being out there and they light the way for
Yeah.
others. And I
Yeah, I
think
feel like
that's
everyone's like, "I'm stepping into my Beyoncé era," and I'm like, "I'm stepping into my Aries era." Like, I'm just gonna own this.
you.
I'm
Good for
gonna let it
you.
help me just, like, do what I need to get done.
That's great.
Um,
That's a great place to be, and that's
yeah.
wonderful. So
I wa Okay, so, we've been chatting for a while, but I really did wanna talk about the colors. I think that that would be really awesome. Remind me again what you said, the how sorry, my words aren't working. What certificate or credentials you have for the colors?
I became a certified color coach, which
Color
means that I
coach,
use
okay.
color to coach people through certain parts of their life and to bring certain things into their life. And actually, I have a fun little freebie I can send you that has a lot of what I'm talking about, has all the colors and the influences on them. That if you want to bring something into your life, here's the color that you use. And it's like a 2-minute meditation that you do to do it. And once you listen to the meditation, you can do it yourself. You don't have to continue listening. But
Yeah,
what it is at the energy, and I use this at the energetic level and also at the subconscious level. So color is amazing, and it's obviously all around us, and it's a super simple way to bring change in. So once you have a conversation, once you look at like that list that I'm happy to send your way, uh, let's say you need clarity in your life. I need some clarity on what's next, on where I'm going to go white is all about clarity. White is a cleansing color. It's brings clarity. It brings exactly what you need. And so when you activate white, and that's that little tiny meditation, which basically you just kind of bring white through your body, you imagine it going through your body, activating it, you're signaling energetically and to your subconscious, hey, I need clarity. I need to bring that in. And so once you activate that in your life, you go and you get something that's white. It can be, I love to use flowers as anchors, as a little reminder that you have in place. And you put that in, but it can be a white sheet of paper. And you literally can just put that somewhere that you're going to see it. Wear a white shirt, do something that just kind of is a little bit of a physical thing that says, I'm bringing clarity into my life. And so then you go about your day, go about your time doing whatever. And every time your mind, you see white, consciously, you might recognize it, but absolutely unconsciously, it's going to recognize it and go, that's right. She wants clarity. and we're going to find clarity for her. So it's that anchor and that little trigger for those things to start happening. And you've put it out into the energy as well and said, I need clarity. And you've even brought in something physical, like that piece of paper or that shirt that says, I'm ready for clarity. White is all about clarity. Purple is all about knowledge and purpose, and really kind of feeling into that. Because think about purple. Purple was what royalty wore for a very long time. They were the leaders. They were the people that were knowledgeable. They were the ones that helped with everything. They led the way. Sometimes good, sometimes good, but we won't go there. But anyway, purple really is bringing in purpose and the energy of that, and again, igniting that in your subconscious when you activate that. And so blue is all around truth and wisdom. And I will say that when you do this, be prepared for the information that you're going to get, and be aware of what you're going to get, because you might be driving down the road. Let's say you activated blue. You're driving down the road and you pull up to a stop sign and you look over and there's this bright blue car. Think about, and you go, oh, blue. Yeah, I did bring blue in. I do want truth and clarity. What was I just thinking about? What's the information that I need to know right now? Because you were just thinking about something. You were just having a conversation probably with yourself or what was going on, but it's going to give you information about how to find that truth and wisdom for yourself. I love green. Green is amazing. Green has a few different versions of it that mean different things. It's new life, new growth. It's abundance. It's also around communication, especially in business. So I love green because it just activates and opens up so many things. And of course, I've got a Gemini, so I'm going to love the color that's all about communication. But another way that you can use the color is, what color are you seeing a lot of? What color is really kind of bringing your attention to it? And there are what's called shadow sides to colors too, the difficulty of them, the side that is like, okay, maybe I'm not really digging into that enough, or maybe I'm unclear about something, or I'm not paying attention to the truth and wisdom. I'm living in a place that's not allowing me. So if you keep having blue come up, it's like maybe you need to pay attention or dig into what your own truth is. Maybe that's your unconscious, your soul, all of that, the universe is trying to tell you, let's do a check-in here. And so then you go in, you activate the color, and you bring it about for yourself. And it's a wonderful way to do that. And it's so simple and easy and so effective. I love it. I don't know how once you start doing it that you kind of can't do it. And because you'll notice the colors coming at you. My gosh, I've been seeing so much pink. It's everywhere. What's with the pink? I'm not necessarily a huge pink fan. Why am I seeing pink everywhere? Pink is that conditional love that we either need to be giving ourselves or someone else. So if you're seeing a lot of pink, might be time to say, where do I need to adjust that unconditional love in my life? So, and orange is all around balance and intuition, opening up the intuition, bringing balance in. Somebody who's really feeling out of balance, bring the orange into your life. Go buy an orange pillow, buy a pumpkin, buy oranges, and bring them and set them there, because that's a signal that you're ready to really bring things into balance or really open up your intuition. Gold is very much the entrepreneur, the energy of independence, the energy of being in that and really opening up the things of success that are there. Silver, excuse me. So sorry. Silver is home and the goddess energy and the activation of reflection. Think about all the silver, it reflects. So it's going to bring that reflection. And so Yeah, you go. And the one that's so interesting for me too, and people often don't realize, is earth tones, especially black and brown and all. They're like, "Oh, I love black. I wear black all the time," or they don't really, but black is like a containment and a boosting of our own energy, holding our own energy. Think about the people in the big cities like New York. How many of them wear black? They're holding in their energy because
Mm,
you're right next to people all the time, and we're naturally in those energies just by being around people. So it's a great way to say, I'm powerful and I'm going to hold on to my energy
like forming that boundary kind of.
a little bit, just
Yeah,
kind of
that's cool.
um anchoring in and holding on to it without it being given away to everyone else. We forget that we do that so often. We are
Mm,
in the space of so many people. A great little way to do that is to call back your energy every now and then, and just kind of imagine going out and touching everything, kind of bringing it back, just like a wave that goes out and comes back in. And it's not taking away anything from anyone else. It's not like, give me back my energy. It's just, I need to fit that right back into where it goes. So I'm pulling it back in so that I'm whole and ready to go.
yeah, that's actually one of my biggest struggles is I give it away, but I also take it on from people I talk to and I'm around. And yeah, I guess I've just been working on ways to guard that from not letting it happen, and then also like just to release it when it's happened because I'll find myself like wanting to just like not talk to anyone all day because I'll do that, and it's like that's not actually like the best way to go about it, but
No, but there's super simple ways to do that too. I mean, actually, the person that I told you that I learned the color certification from, he does some work that, because he's very sensitive to things, that really he has a couple of quick little energetic things that I think are great. One of them always reminds me of white, because he says, and you might have heard this, like a shower, in the shower, you can kind of imagine like that white light with the water kind of coming down. You turn it up just a little bit hotter and imagine this clarity kind of coming through, this cleansing coming through and just washing it all away. And then what you
Mm,
do is you kind of bring up your own force field. You could turn it up a little hotter and imagine sealing in yourself and the goodness of it. Not, and that doesn't cut you off from people. That's just a little layer of energetic protection. And
yeah.
another thing that he does is, especially people who get overwhelmed going into big parties or big
Oh,
events, or
that's me.
is to imagine this big energetic chandelier in the middle of the room that absorbs all the energy, that takes
Mm,
up the energy. It's bigger and brighter than you are, so it's all naturally attracted there, and it allows you to flow through the room safe and comfortable and not taking on all of the other people's stuff.
oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, this has been such an awesome conversation. Like I said before, I would love to do a card reading, just kind of some wrap up our conversation, kind of give some energy for you and your business. Let's see. I got the Four of Pentacles. Or no, sorry, Four of Coins.
Yeah, that's Four Pentacles.
Um, oh yeah, yeah. See, this is what I told you. I don't know anything. Okay, do you want to explain what that one is?
No, I'll let you.
Me? Okay, well then I had to like, let's see.
Pentacles, I will say, is always is the earth energy, is that manifestation and money. Pentacles and coin,
Okay.
that's why it's a coin, is because it's oftentimes around money or career.
Okay, so the Four of Pentacles asks you to examine your relationship with money. Are you accumulating wealth and investing your money wisely while still enjoying your day-to-day life? Or are you desperately clinging to every coin, afraid to spend your money for fear that you do not have enough or you could lose it forever? In its most positive state, the Four of Pentacles suggests that you are that you have created wealth and abundance by maintaining a steady focus on your goals and acting conservatively. You are attentive to your long-term financial security, actively saving money and watching your expenses so you can accumulate wealth and live a comfortable lifestyle, not just now, but also in the future. I like that. That's good.
Too. And I was going to say, I think it's a lot about balance. We talked about those 4 elements and bringing balance in and not leaning into the bag lady thing and not,
Yeah.
into all different things. So as I think happens often, it does connect to a lot of what we talked about. And of course, the people that you talk to want to build their business, want to build in the way that is going to bring them that success. And it's important to be looking at all of that and all the different ways to help yourself be balanced.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. And finding the balance in what success is, because I think a lot of the times people think of success as just purely money, but actually, when I think of success, it's like, yes, you need money to feel comfortable and have the things that you want and need, but also, like, if so much money makes it so that you become a prisoner to your business, then that's also not success in my eyes. It would be more of a balance of having a little less and being able to still have the freedom that you want in life to enjoy the things and the people around you.
yeah, and I think that's the ultimate goal for most people, is the happiness. If you dig down with anyone, why do you want this? Why do you want this? Why? And you dig deep enough, that why is always going to end up being happiness. Happiness, security, freedom are
Yeah,
that are there. So
absolutely. I totally agree with that. All right. Well, thank you so much again for coming on the podcast. Do you want to let everyone know where they can find you if they want to follow you on Instagram or learn more about you or work with you?
you bet. I'm kind of all over the socials. I'm Laura Ordile, Ordile, looks like Ordile. Laura Ordile on Instagram, on Facebook, I'm pretty sure that's on TikTok too. And that's my website. So if you look up Laura Ordile, you'll find me somewhere. And
Perfect.
I'd love to chat with anyone. And I'm always open to having a conversation about just seeing if it is something, if I can help. Because sometimes, I can, sometimes I can't. But I always want to let you know if I can. So there you go.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, thanks again.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you are looking for more business support and collaboration with